Number one.
Monstrosity.
Number one.
We gotta go ball.
Number
Welcome to Let the Children Speak. I am Universe Badger. Today, the truth is simple and heavy at the same time. Words are mean. even to ourselves. Many of us would never speak to a child the way we speak to ourselves. We replay mistakes. We use labels. We shame our feelings. We call ourselves weak for hurting. Those words did not appear out of nowhere. They were learned. This episode is about noticing the language we use inside our own heads and asking who taught us that? And was this normal? Is this normal?
What's normal?
Normal is the key word.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's your part.
Oh, apparently I didn't get some messages from you. See, I screwed it all up, but it might be a technological thing here.
This is Moon Loudest. To
Hi,
those that are
Moon Loudest. We're trying to go back and forth a little more, and I have been having terrible service today. I hope y'all can even hear me. Normal was the key word, which I was going to run with. Oh, gosh, folks. Hi, Kendall.
Oh, hi.
Wiggity, wiggity, what's up? MCRC car in the house. I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore.
It's okay.
That was exciting. So, with that being said, let's take a deeper look. Words shape how the brain understands safety. When children hear harsh words, their nervous system learns to stay alert. When those words are repeated internally, the body stays in that same state, tense, guarded, and expecting harm. Self-criticism does not build strength, it builds fear. Gentle words do not erase accountability, they allow growth without harm. Children learn best in environments where they feel safe. Adults heal the same way. Changing how we talk to ourselves is not weakness, it's protection.
welcome. So I'm not going to remember what you called yourself, so I'm just going to stick with Riley, if that's okay, because it was DJ something.
It was MCRC car.
MCRC car. Do you want me to call you that?
No. The RC car part is an actual nickname I got from my initials, but I just decided to introduce myself in the most cringe way I could think of.
I liked it though because you'd be great on the radio with that intro, so I'm not mad. So what words do you use on yourself when you make a mistake?
Depends. Are we talking words aimed at myself or the situation?
At yourself.
I don't
Good.
really aim words at myself. I tend to just be more pissed off about the situation if it's like something bad happens. If it's a mistake I made, I'll be like, well, crap, and then kind of move on. Except I don't say crap, I say the non-censored version, but it's not aimed at anybody or myself.
Good.
And repeat the self-censoring. Thank you, Ray. MC, if I will.
So have you heard other kids that tend to say stuff about themselves directed towards themselves? What are the words that you usually hear them say?
I don't hear them typically like curse themselves out, but I know that most of my friend group does that. Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in school in general do that, and just younger people, but the people I know, I don't know exactly what they say, but they do curse themselves out at times.
Where do you think they first heard those words?
It's less so specific words they use. I don't know, because it's different in general for different people. Like, cursing yourself out doesn't have to be like all swear words. It could be like, oh, I'm so dumb, and meaning that.
I think
It doesn't necessarily. It depends on it from the person, so I can't speak for anybody on where they learn negative self-talk.
And you
I
just said the key word, though. I apologize, Moon Tortoise, but you just said the key word. It's learned. It's learned negative self-talk. So they must have learned it from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's typically, or at least what I've gathered from like the psychology I like to research, it tends to just be gathered because it's what everybody else puts on them. If everybody's going to talk negatively about you for messing up and stuff, that's going to get ingrained in your brain, and then you're going to start talking negatively about yourself.
Yeah. Why do we do that, do you think? Why do we I'm not going to say we as in a collective whole, because generally I don't do that negative self-talk neither to myself.
We
don't
as a
even-
collective. Sorry.
ahead. No, you're
No,
fine.
sorry. I was just going to say, we as a collective whole, as like referring to a species, that's a fine term.
As in, the human species.
Yeah.
You said two
So-
keywords.
Go ahead.
No, one of them was learned, and then the other one was dumb. And I think probably one of the main ones is what I was hoping you would say was low intelligence. That seems to be not where you want to be societally, is just dumb or anything. And especially coupled with being a young person, you kind of got to learn like education isn't something you finish, and it's kind of insane to let that attack you so bad. But that is the big one that I think gets brought up a lot, is I'm dumb, or I'm dumb for doing this and stuff. That's what I hear all the time.
Or stupid. Yeah, me too.
Stupid. It's those words sometimes that aren't the ones you censored so eloquently. Those are the ones that hurt worse and seem to really strike.
Have you noticed? I apologize. Have you noticed that those were said to you, Moon Tortoise, when you were a child, or other that around you, with like your peers would say to themselves?
My peers said some pretty rough stuff. I don't always feel at liberty to say dumb was always a thing in school. My problem was in schools that I was smart. You know, I'd pull books out. I learned at a very young age. I was like, look at my book collection. And I got called some horrible things, even derogatory things that I'm not going to mention on the show. And I learned at a young age that actually it was kind of like I was being shunned or nerdy for being smart. So that wasn't, I'm not saying I'm smart or anything. I was just reading books, you know, but that's kind of the image I got. So that's weird. Yeah, dumb. If I got called dumb by my dad or mom, that most certainly struck harder than any peer could have. But I felt it was quite the opposite in school.
So, RC, what is the first words you think of when you describe yourself?
Weird. And I'm proud of it.
Where'd that word come from?
Do you want like the whole etymology of the old Anglo-Saxon thing?
I want to
Okay.
hear what made you think of that word as describing you.
Big words.
Because I am very much a weirdo. Like, that's not being put on to me. That's just a self-observation. And I'm very much rather be weird than to be whatever social construct of normal is.
So what is the definition of weird? The exact definition.
I don't have a good definition for it that doesn't use a synonym. But I guess like strange or out of the ordinary.
Weird also. Maybe it's not a bad thing.
Moon Tortoise, do you know what the definition is, real quick?
Sure. I mean, it's strange, unusual, or unexpected. And he was right. It would just be a bunch of synonyms. That's essentially what it is. You know, you're going to get that Webster.
It never said what the derivative word from it and where it came from, like the origin.
Oh, the origin it comes from an Anglo-Saxon word, weird, but with the Y, and it essentially just means like crap. It's eluding me. 1 second.
So, Sacred Deer said, he ran into something. He said, I ran into something, and I won't be on. Sorry for letting you know so late.
I hope his antlers are okay.
Me too. I hope what he ran into wasn't another vehicle or another animal.
Most certainly. He had the gumption to text you, though, so which is good. Well, Riley looks up Anglo-Saxon definition for modern day term. Anglo-Saxon. This is good. No, I think there's a good something to be said about talking down to yourself and self-proclamation.
And yes, no, and I agree. And there's a difference too. Is it from shame, or is it from guilt, or is it because of self loathing? Now there's a huge difference. And I like the fact that weird would be a subject that he would think of himself, or a definition that he would think for himself to be as. I just want to know what made them think of that and what is the derivative of that word, because a lot of words, we talked about this before, are misused, and people don't have the exact definition properly of what it really does mean, and they're just going around what they think it means, and they're just saying these words. Yeah. And I'd like to know, because like, he's not calling himself a bundle of sticks, and we know what that really does mean, but yet people are going around saying that word as if that was a word that meant something different than what it means. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I made plenty of them, by the way, my entire life living off the land, and they come in very handy, and I don't like the derogatory term for it. It's a very useful tool for survival.
And that's what I think. So when people go around saying things, your dad was good at that. He knew exactly what words meant. He was like, you know what that really actually means, what you're saying. And so, I mean,
my mom and dad were very articulate. They knew a lot of big words, and getting into the middle of their fight or being in a fight with them was like getting into a verbal knife fight.
Yeah. So when RC comes back with that and what that stemmed from, I was
I about died when you said that the first time.
So yeah, it's important though. It's important to know where this stems from and why people tend to do it. And peace and love, ha 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 ha. Peace and love, Tim, Stephen, Tig, whatever. Peace and love. Welcome. Decompressed Media. Welcome, Decompressed Media. So
Riley's gone. He's looking through some ancient tome. He's pulling off a shelf. Let's see here. Kendall's with him. He's holding the ladder, moving it. That's what I picture.
I want to know though. Yeah, they're going around the library on the ladder that slides across the rail. I want to know, like, are words differently when people's around? Do you say words differently to yourself when no one's around compared to the ones you say in front of people?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. To agree that I'm probably several different people when I'm at myself. I heard someone say, turn the cameras on and just record your day-to-day what you do. I can't do that. It's off the wall. Who knows what it is? Insanity. It's the second time I've used insanity. And once again, I'm talking myself down using some outdated terminology that's really bad. But I'm kind of self-proclaiming it and trying to give myself some some grace while I do it, which you and I have argued with many times, Bagger.
Where do you think that stems from, though? We talked about this, and I made a song coming from that point of view of what we said to kids when they were younger, so that the slave masters wouldn't want them, where parents would degrade their children so that they were less desirable. And that got passed on and passed on. Are you back, RC?
Yes. Essentially, it roughly translates to fate. Like weird spelt with a Y instead of an EI just translates to fate.
To fate.
Or something like magical.
I like that.
In Old English.
What we got here, Stephen? Yes, I do. I'm actually more hard, but at the same time, I talk to myself about solutions. I'm more hard on myself, but at the same time, yeah.
So, do you say words, Riley, do you say words differently to yourself when people are around? Or you just generally don't say those self-harming words?
No, I don't really just curse out myself, no. Like, I don't really go after myself.
Where do you think you learned that from, to not do that to yourself? Because a lot of people do. Like, people honestly just beat themselves up.
I didn't learn it. I was just never taught to beat myself up.
I like that. I ain't mad at it. Kendall, how about the same reaction for you? Do you end up saying things about yourself when no one's around?
I used to, but I'm still learning on a daily basis what not to say and just learning how to be quiet.
Translate that. Yeah, she used to, and occasionally still does.
Oh, yeah, he's honest.
So I'm wondering, does it change? Because as a child, and I apologize for putting you in the category of a child, RC, but from the range of your age, I'm gonna put it to there. As a child, it's not taught, so you don't do it to yourself. Yet as an adult, we tend to pick up that trait and start doing it to ourselves. Now, does it come from taught behavior, or does it come from not loving yourself? Kendall, what do you think?
I say it's both. What?
I don't think she was paying attention.
But it was. I say it's both.
Okay, fair enough.
The same people raised Riley?
Yes and no. It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
My mom and
no.
his mom.
My mother raised me, which would be her sister. She was, and my grandma did play a part in that.
So your mom
I lost track of what the question was. Sorry.
Learn behavior of self. I don't know. Self harm in words, I guess. In for better term, learn behavior of self-loathing.
Yeah, well, that comes from just people telling you you're worthless so much that eventually you just believe them. Because it's what everybody says around you, so it must be true. That's the line of thinking that brings people to that conclusion. And of course, it does vary from person to person, because some people just develop the feeling of worthlessness, not from people necessarily calling them that, but from comparison of like what is expected of you, and like, let's say like negative self-image, like that you don't need people to call you ugly to start feeling terrible about the way you look. You simply just need access to the internet to see everybody praising a certain ideal that you don't live up to, and then maybe you end up comparing yourself to that, and then that just brings you down. So either it's learned no matter what, but it's not always like directly taught to people.
So do you think it's learned more in schools, in your home, or in society in general?
All of the above.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you're
Right.
a baby, honestly, most parents, I can't speak for all because I don't know everybody in the whole entire world, but most parents don't really call babies names. They don't really degrade a baby. And when you're first learning how to walk and talk, your first thought isn't self-hatred. Unless you were told that, you know? And generally that's just what society has made you feel. And it does stem a lot from generation passed on, not knowing better. So what I'm going to ask you a question, Kendall. How do mean words change how you show up in the world?
Is there a proper definition for it, or just what is?
What do you mean proper definition?
I don't know the proper definition.
Like for show up in the world?
For just how it is, or
like how do mean words affect you showing up in the world?
It used to affect me at one point, to the point I just stopped ignoring it.
She wasn't paying attention.
I was too.
She's painting.
I'm doing both.
I know, but occasionally you just like get focused on something and then...
ADHD, I'm sorry.
Okay, so how do mean words change how you show up in the world? When you wake up in the morning and you say mean words or you hear mean words, does it make you what in the world?
It's depending on the situations of how people say it, I guess. But really, I just tend to ignore it more. So anytime someone says that's demeaning, I just learn to walk away.
Do you have moments where you'd rather stay in bed because of everybody else's energy around you?
Oh, yes. I was like that this week.
Okay.
So,
hey.
However, it's mostly energy.
Yes, that's true.
It's not just self-deprecating talk. There's a lot of behaviors that go along with it too. You see, Riley's a bad candidate for a lot of this because Riley's got a good head about what a lot of this stuff means and understands where he wants his place in society for the most part. A lot of kids don't, and I really didn't for a long time either, for a multitude of factors. And withdrawing from groups is like withdrawing from groups and then not giving a shit about how you dress and anything like that. Those can all be looked at bad things, and they were looked at like bad things for a while. But being counterculture is a little different now. Withdrawing isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're flourishing with yourself. So it's not just beating yourself up.
And I wonder if it's because Riley is autistic and he doesn't look at things the same way as anybody else does. For real, he's a matter of fact and looks at it for really what it is, not for what society has told us what it is. So I don't know if that plays a lot in with it, but most children, and I don't think Grandson would really fit from that neither, or Sacred Deer would fit from that either in some of this, because he too doesn't hear that kind of stuff and he don't know that neither. But I did, and I had to do a lot of healing of my inner child because people around me just really weren't great with their words, and I adapted them and they became mine. And I like the fact that it's not affecting Riley like that, because that's less likelihood that you're going to have some kind of counseling to heal your inner child, because your inner child's not really damaged by much besides society itself.
Yeah, the inner child thing is really important. It is.
What do you think, Riley? You need to do a whole bunch of counseling because everybody around you is damaged?
Do I do like the counseling? What?
Well, you normally say we all need therapy.
What? I did not say that.
You totally did at one point. We all need therapy.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. What was the question?
The question is, do you feel that you, not everybody else around you. You need a whole bunch of therapy because everybody around you is messed up.
No.
No, see? And that's the great thing. Go ahead.
I wanted to add, do you feel like a therapist with a lot of people, with your friends and their peer group?
Also, no, because most of, at least the people I know, tend to follow the philosophy of keeping it to themselves, which is not always the best decision, but it's not always the worst decision. So I'm not really anybody's like unpaid therapist.
I guess not like that to the extreme, but would you feel like you're somebody who's level-headed enough that people come to for advice often, or would you say they don't?
Most of the time when I'm hanging out with people, they're all getting like the goofy side, all of the whimsy. So I have had people come to me for advice sometimes, but not really, because either they're not really looking or they don't just look to me because of how much of a goof I tend to be.
So I have another question for you. Do you feel that a lot of people around you, and I'm not talking about your peers, just adults around you, minus Kendall because she's next to you and she's got weapons, really need
I'm armed
therapy?
too.
That they really do need therapy and that they could benefit from fixing their way of thinking?
Yeah, a lot of people can benefit from therapy.
Yeah.
Then it just, depending on the person, I know that men in particular tend to feel like less of a man by typical standards for going to therapy, which is just because apparently it's expected of people to just keep it to themselves and not have emotions. But in general, everybody can benefit from therapy. Unless you actually just don't need it at all and you're just that mentally healthy. Apart from that, you could probably benefit from some.
Yeah. So how do you think that this is just your opinion? This isn't because you can experience it, but how do words shape how you treat yourself? And I'm not just talking about you in particular, in general. How do you think words really do affect how people treat themselves?
I'm not fully sure because I don't have much experience with that. So I'm not fully sure because I can't fully understand if I haven't been there.
So if your inner voice spoke out loud, how would it sound to others? The words that no one hears you say.
Like a debate between 2 to 3 different voices with multiple tabs running in the back. Like, set it up so that you play set up on your computer 3 different YouTube videos playing on like mild lower volume. Then on top of that, open up a tab and watch a debate video. So you just have a bunch of random stuff going around just in the back while there's a constant like friendly debate going on.
Well, we learn something every day. I learned I might be autistic. No. I don't say that lightly. I've got a lot of problems. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was little, and I'm convinced it's an adult problem, but it seems very much worse than that. This is very accurate representation.
I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but I think I've got a mix of autism and ADHD, which is a fun mix because it's like half my brain wants order. The other half is entirely incapable of obtaining it and also craves chaos. Yeah, so what I tend to do is I tend to order chaos.
Is it because of boredom or just because of the quietness drives you crazy?
What?
Well, you tend to order chaos.
Yeah, no, I organize chaos is what I meant.
Organize. Okay.
I don't like. I'm not sitting down like, waiter, I would like to buy your finest chaos. I will warn you, sir. It is very strong. Well, I don't care. The stronger, the better.
I like a little chaos that
Riley's
makes me
Riley's the kind of person who knocks something over and break a bunch of stuff just so you can get something cleaned up. I get it. It's a hard way to be.
Cleaning stuff up.
No,
That's
there
a
you go.
boring
Never mind. I'm gonna
concept.
skip that. You'll figure that out in about 30 years and be pissed at yourself for it. Oh, excuse me.
So I have a question. What behaviors, Riley, what behaviors do people use to hurt themselves that often go unnoticed or unrecognized?
Walking into walls. That's me.
What? No, we're not talking physically.
Oh,
we're talking
wow,
about
okay.
mentally.
Right. I knew that.
Not letting themselves let go of a mistake they made and learn from it. They keep on holding on to like that one mistake you made in like 9th grade where you accidentally called somebody flat because you retorted your whatever the word they just said and they were talking about their muffin, because this is an actual thing that happened.
I kind of figured. Right.
So like it happened to my cousin in a similar scenario too, but like occasionally if somebody says something, at least for a point, I would just auto retort your whatever the last word they said, because I found it amusing to myself and to nobody else. They said their muffin was flat and I retorted you're flat, and I didn't realize what I meant because I was innocent until I was told, and I'm like, well, sorry. And I don't hold that against myself, but like somebody would look at that while they're trying to get some sleep and then be kept awake by that, being like, oh no, mistake I can't let go of.
Oh, Riley, this girl passed in like 2nd or 3rd grade. I think it was 2nd grade. She passed me this note and said, would you go out with me? And I had such a low self-esteem, actually, I passed it to the person next to me. And it became this big pariah where she tried to get it back to me, and then the teacher got a hold of it, and the cat was out of the bag. And I haven't talked to her since 2nd grade. And she lived less than a mile away from me. Don't feel too bad. I lost a lot of sleep over it. I've long since given up on that, and the things that happen as a child, they don't always matter when you get older.
I never know how to respond when anybody asks me out or like for my number. My brain just has a mental freeze, and then I remember, oh yeah, I might actually be attracted to some people. And then I question, how do I reject them without causing emotional damage?
Oh wait.
Oh.
So,
Coffee.
since you
Just
said
coffee.
that, I love that you said that, because I want to talk about the next question real quick. Why do some forms of self-harm get minimized or dismissed? And I think it has to do with what you were saying. Like, why do some forms of self-harm get minimized or demised? And I think I think from a lot of people not really wanting to hurt somebody else's feelings.
I think you meant dismissed.
No.
Nope.
Demised?
That's strong. Demise means
Make it less than it really is.
dismissed.
No, I promise you. I know how to spell dismissed.
I'm sure you do. I'm not talking down to you.
Unnoticed, not unnoticed, but to make it less than what it really is. It gets minimized and then makes it into something huge.
I lost track of where this question was going.
Okay, so why do some forms of self-harm get minimized? I just won't even say the rest. But
So by minimized, do you mean like the harm done is minimized, or it gets like, or it? But what do you mean by minimized?
it doesn't say what I mean by minimized. It just says minimized, and then it says demised. But like,
Try it. I can try and answer it. I chewed my
By
nails.
like minimized, do you mean by minimized? Do you mean like the amount that they do it gets like turned down to a minimal, or the effect of it is minimal, or there's minimal recognition for it, or people will act like it's less of a problem than it actually is? Out of
yes,
those,
that's exactly what I think that's what they're asking.
okay. Because I guess some people just don't understand and therefore don't think it's that big of a deal, or they have that problem and they don't think that it's that big of a deal. It's just a lack of understanding.
Okay. Because for me, when you were saying the story about not wanting to hurt somebody else's feelings, how could you let them down without hurting their feelings? That's what I think a lot of people just ignore something because they don't want to cause problem with other people. So they're worried about what somebody else thinks constantly, that they just overlook the fact that what somebody else is doing is actually really self-harming themselves without knowing they are. So what does emotional pain turn into? How does emotional pain turn into physical or behavior punishment?
Can I have a specific example of like the thing? Because it depends on what exactly the problem is.
Moon Taurus, what do you think it means? How does emotional pain turn into physical or behavioral punishment?
I will continue. I was going to say these. Sometimes the questions do get kind of vague, and I kind of see where they're going with it. That would be emotional pain or trauma manifests itself in the form of addiction. And I'm not using any computer here. I'm going to give it off the top of my cuff. Addiction, or for me, and it still is, chewing my nails. I chew my nails to the bone. I always chewed my nails to the bone. And to answer the previous question, how it gets overlooked, we got a kid in school. I seen another kid in school, and he was chewing his nails the way I chew my nails now. And we were both in like 5th, 6th grade. And that is a sign of serious stuff going on. Okay, we're not talking black eye. We're talking small things like that. We're talking kids who, recently I saw a kid walking to school in Detroit by herself, and some absolute hero had to walk up and save her. That's not good. What's going on at home? And there's so many of these things that manifest, and we can't really do anything. As in Sacred Deer, and everybody was saying, counselors at school don't have any modicum of keeping anything between them and the student without involving the parents. That fine line about actually abuse happening in a home and then going to school, we got to figure out what you actually do about that, because I was really scared as a kid about my family getting broken up by police, not getting help, and then we just didn't get help because there was a lot of abuse going on at home. So I think it's kind of a system thing in a lot of aspects. Gemini, you want me to read that?
Oh, I didn't even know that was there. Go ahead.
Gemini Lamar, words can stick with you like a scar. It's always good to be mindful of what we say, because words can't be reversed, and words can be stronger than physical contact. Thank you to everyone in the comments. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Please.
exactly. So, Riley, what are the most common myths about people that do self-harm, do you think?
Quite honestly, I'm not sure, because I don't tend to care much for stereotypes, unless they're like funny and about Canadians. Those are about the only like stereotypes I know.
So, Kendo, what do you think? What do you think that some of the What is the most common myths about why people do self-harm?
Common myths, like there's many different definitions for
What do you? Okay, can you give a straight answer?
That is my straight answer. There's many
That is
different
not a straight
definitions.
answer. What you are doing is you
What?
are saying nothing profoundly.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Now I lost my train of thought. Are you happy? Sorry, what was the question?
Like you're saying there's many different definitions of something that doesn't have many definitions. It's just what are some common myths about people who do self-harm, whether that be physical or verbal?
Mutual. I think it's mutual.
No, what are some? I need an answer.
What are some myths?
Oh, right. Honestly,
I could hear the dial-up sound as she was trying to process what was going on.
it's Monday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Blame it on Monday. That needs to be put on a t-shirt. Just blame it on Monday.
Yeah, this cat really hates it.
Honestly,
How about
my brain's not braining at the moment, but I know there's a whole collaboration here.
I honestly think that one of the common myths of people that do that is that they don't love themselves. I think some people do self-harm not because they don't love themselves. I think they do self-harm for fulfilling a void of that pain. What that pain causes pleasure in something that's lacking. A lot of pain for certain people actually is not hurting them, and it actually causes some form of self-pleasure.
Yeah, but most of the time people are driven to self-harm because they don't like themselves, and then it gives them some kind of gratification. So while it's not always the case, all of the people that are, at least that I know or that have been in places like that, it tends to be because they hated themselves for a bit.
Okay, so I pull the skin off my fingernails all the way down, that it bleeds and hurts. And I do it because I don't like the dry skin around my nails. It irritates me knowing that dry skin is there. Doesn't matter if I put lotion on, doesn't matter if I file it down. Once I feel a piece of dry skin, I fixate on it and I keep pulling it and keep pulling it and keep pulling it until eventually there's no skin around my finger whatsoever, and it actually bleeds and hurts. And it's self-harming. But I don't do it because I don't love myself.
Yeah, well, then I think I might be thinking of a greater scale of self-harm, the kind that involves a knife.
Okay, so
like the scale of what we're talking about was not said, so my brain just filled in the blank.
But there's many different styles, though, right? Or what self-harm can be.
Well, yeah, it can be anything.
Yeah, really.
That hurts you.
I do know people, though, that cut themselves, and the reason why they cut themselves isn't because they don't love themselves. They cut themselves because something bad has happened to them, and they can't fix that trauma that's hurt them, that them hurting themselves gives them pleasure without realizing that it's actually hurting them.
I don't think I can ever understand that. Like, I'm not gonna judge anybody in that position, but I don't think I'll ever be able to see where they're coming from because I've never been there.
You don't want to.
And well, I 100% doubt I'll ever be there.
No.
Yeah,
but like, I can never understand.
So, Moon Tortoise, what do you feel that your opinion is on that?
Attention. Even you can get a rich kid or somebody who is even threatening or trying to do that stuff. Cry for help is a cry for help. We all suffer to varying degrees, and we're all valid in what's making us feel bad. And I think saying that people hurting themselves for attention is a myth we kind of need to get over, because even if it's for attention, there's an underlying reason for it. And it could be just behavioral issues as a child, but you don't want that developing into something that could be a lot worse. I could never put anything like that, like a blade to my skin, but that's why I chewed. That's why I chewed. So I tore up my mouth. So I did those little things. The cumulative still hurts.
Yeah, I could never do that neither, but I don't know why I pull the skin back all the way down that it bleeds on my fingers. I do it all the time. I'm doing it now while we're talking. And I already ripped nails off because half of them weren't grown. If one hand, and there's two or more that already broke, I'm just going to take them all off because I don't like being oblong. So
you remember last week when we talked about dopamine, right?
yeah.
That's what you're doing. Small scale, you're releasing dopamine in your system because I'm doing it right now, and I do it when my coffee runs out. We're not perfect.
I get it. And I don't, and it's not, and I don't feel that I'm doing it for some kind of fulfillment. It's besides the fact I don't like the rough skin around my nails, but like I'm causing them because they're basically just scabs that keep coming back because I keep pulling it off. So I'm aware. I don't know. I just do it. But like I made a post today about words being misused, and a lot of people throw around a definition and said, this is why somebody's this way. And I did some research on it and stuff. And there's a lot of words that are like narcissist. There's a lot of words that people throw around and say, oh, that's a narcissist. When you start looking, there's a gray area. And some of the things like narcissists actually come from trauma. And it's of people that don't know themselves, self-love, and they don't know their self-worth. And they're actually trying to go ahead.
Every narcissist I know, which they're not doing that. They're not narcissistic from trauma. They just think they're the best.
And that's the definition. But some people, there is cases, some people that they're not narcissist. They're really honestly.
Yeah. They wouldn't be a narcissist then.
But they call them a narcissist because they have the same traits.
It's kind of hard to not be a narcissist and have the traits of a narcissist, because the traits of a narcissist is thinking you're the best. Sorry, my brain literally will not let me not debate people.
No, you're okay, and that's perfect. I'm glad you went to there because let me read to you, because sometimes, even though that's what it is, there is certain things that show the same behaviors as it would be narcissist, but they're not narcissist. It's like the key characteristics of a person that is a narcissist has great, I don't know what this word is, grandiosity, and then they need for admiration, lack of empathy, sense of entitlement, explorative, like they explode behavior. They have that kind of behavior, and then it goes fantasies, envy. Them are like key characteristics. And the word comes from some it's a Greek myth, and it comes from somebody who fell in love with their own reflection and faded away, symbolizing their obsession with self-love. But here's some behaviors that resemble it, but yet they're not narcissists. It is rooted from a passive personality disorder, often stemmed from temporary stressors, specific mental health conditions, and simple common human traits like insecurity or a need for approval. Defensiveness, sensitivity to criticism. A person might become defensive because they are genuinely hurt or insecure, not because they hold a belief that their own is infallible. And unlike a true narcissist, they might eventually process the criticism and learn from it. Sometimes it's just trauma and a lack of self-worth. And a lot of people really just see the characteristics and say, "Oh no, he's a narcissist," without realizing sometimes this might be something different. Same thing with the fact of gaslighting. A lot of people say, "Oh no, he's gaslighting me," without really knowing what the true definition of gaslighting is. You're going to pass that on to everybody without really looking at the whole system, because sometimes it's not even that neither. Do you understand now, Riley?
Yeah, however, most of the I get where you're coming from. I see that people do tend to incorrectly label people and things. But like when people are so horrendously entitled that they would be called a narcissist, statistically, if you're gonna let's take a look at all like the Karens that we have footage of on the internet.
Yes.
Most of them would probably have some level of narcissism due to how entitled they are. Being that entitled doesn't necessarily commonly stem from anything other than thinking you're the best or you in some way deserve better than everybody else.
Correct.
But still, make sure that you know what terms you're throwing out, because you can be narcissistic a little. You can be a little narcissistic, but not a narcissist.
That's what I was getting at.
Traits. It's such a big thing to label somebody one thing or the other.
It is. Without knowing the whole definition, that diagnosis of that person. You can't say just because they hold traits, because everybody holds a trait of entitlement of some sort of entitlement, especially when it's an argument they started or their opinion on how they feel. It can come across strongly in abrasive and as if there's no other option besides what they say. Yet,
I think.
no, go ahead.
I think it's fair that Riley makes the point. The people who just look privileged and they tend to be really narcissistic and I mean, they act like an ass in public to everybody. A lot of the time, that is a defense mechanism. I mean, maybe their life might look perfect on the outside. Maybe they got domineering parents. Maybe they're trying to live up to incredible standards, or yeah, maybe there's a rare occurrence that they're just psychotic. They got very hard. They got stuff going on upstairs, but it is a fair point. Not everybody looks like that. But there's the Breakfast Club where Judd Nelson's that he acts like a big tough guy and he's beating everybody up, but you find out at the end of the day he's just a scared little kid with a terrible home life.
Yeah, well,
He's not actually that big.
He wasn't deserving of the label of a narcissist, just the label of an ass.
That's fair. Fair. You would have seen Breakfast Club, of course.
Yeah, no, I watched it in my sociology class.
Okay, so but
it's a good portrayal. It does is good about that.
As a female and as an empath and somebody who shows a lot of empathy for others, I can also not just empathy though. Also, I can also I can perceive what they're saying without being able to say I can relate to it. I can receive it, and society goes and pushes this strongly upon the opposite gender. More men are narcissists than women. I've heard and I've seen. And then if a man is unhealed and he doesn't know his own worth, and he really is trying to find out who he is because he doesn't think he's worthy of anything, and he fights within himself constantly. And when he has a strong opinion, all of a sudden he becomes a narcissist because he's a man and because he really is having a solid opinion about himself. He's not saying that he's better than you. It's just that, if he brings out your flaw because you're beating up him on his, it's toxic both ways. You're both toxic, to be honest with you. And someone needs to heal, because a lot of things stem from their inner child being messed up and haven't been able to be healed. That's just my opinion, but I've seen it. They have those little reels that come across constantly. My algorithm is pouring through reels of people labeling people and saying this is why they are the way they are without really digging into it, because that's not the case at all.
Yeah, like nobody has the right to just look at somebody and be like, you are this way because it's not your business. And I would totally love to use stronger language here, but I'm not going to. Mind your own damn business.
We appreciate that. It gets the point across. Let me tell you.
And eventually, if someone's going to keep on nagging at you and keep on complaining about everything you do, and never once you're allowed to say anything about what they do, then you might be the narcissist, to be honest with you. You may be the one that feels entitled, because opinions and feelings, that's all it is opinions and feelings. Opinions and feelings. There's no factual nothing unless you took a medical, you got a doctorate in something, and that's what your PhD is, and you really just studied that your whole entire life, and you could tell that's exactly what that person is. You can't go around labeling people just because they have some form of trait of it, because we all carry it. In some aspect, we all feel like we are entitled. I feel like I'm entitled to speak because this is I'm one of the hosts. So, I mean, it doesn't mean I like control.
I'm too polite.
See? So anyways, with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. And what could be a positive message, Riley, that you want people to just start doing better with themselves when it comes to words?
I just have a more in general thing.
Okay.
Don't grow up.
Ooh, and I like that, because that's the truth. Such a good thing. Good thing. I like that. So Moon Tortoise, what do you have? I'm like at loss for words, because that's a beautiful way to end it.
It's
What
really
do you think?
good. I was I don't know. I felt like I grew up too fast and never actually grew up. But I don't actually think that's a bad thing. So I like what Riley said, because that makes me feel better about it. Boom.
Yeah, no, I like don't grow up. I don't want to top that. So words matter, and the ones spoken out loud matter. The ones whispered inside matter too. If no one ever taught you how to speak kindly to yourself, that does not mean you failed. It means something was missing. Here on Let the Children Speak, we believe learning new words is part of healing. Choose the words that hold you, not harm you. The child inside of you deserves that care, that love. Don't grow up. Until next time, may your night be full of positive energy and high vibrations and peace and love. And thank you, Riley, again. I admire you, and you are welcome at all times.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It was a good
Number
conversation.
one.
Monstrosity.
Number one.
We gotta go ball.
Number